Hey food fans, welcome to Cooking Like a Pro with Chef Cal and me, Mrs. Chef, his wife Christa DeMercurio. We're dishing out culinary intuition, insights, and imagination to spice up your meals and make cooking more fun. On today's episode, my chef husband has a very special guest, our friend Chef Sadie Kreuger, a local culinary educator teaching our younger generation basic cooking skills and healthy eating. Let's dig in. Today's episode was broadcast and recorded live on AM/FM radio.
Welcome to today's show. Welcome to Cooking Like a Pro. You have found us at KCNR at 1460 AM, your talk radio here in the North Station, and also 96.5. And as always, you can call in if you'd like to call in. This is Chef Cal. I'm here with a special guest who I will introduce in just a moment. Or you can go to cookinglikeapropodcast.net, and you can type it in there. Again, cookinglikeapropodcast.net. So welcome. I am so excited today. I'm not excited because my wife's not here. Okay, so I want to just clear that up. And she'll hear that because she'll turn this into a podcast tomorrow. But anyway, I just have a dear friend here that I want to say I've known for decades, but she still looks really young, and I don't. But anyway, a real dear friend, Sadie Krueger. Yes, in relation to Mike Krueger, our weatherman. You know, he's got his podcast, and my wife listens to it every single morning to get the weather. I usually don't get up that early, so I'll catch whatever else I catch. But welcome, Sadie. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. And Sadie's got some exciting things she wants to talk about on what she's doing now, but she's literally like myself, kind of one thing I guess about the profession is it's kind of nomadic. You know, you kind of people roam, whether they're front of the house servers or back of the house cooks. They kind of roam from restaurant to restaurant. So we've kind of been in geographically probably every little nook and cranny in Redding, but Sadie's had a great career and is still continuing on that, and we'll talk about that. But I wanted to talk a little bit, as we have been talking about, in the area of produce. And we've been talking about different types and styles of produce, and I want to talk a little bit about that. I actually want to give you some great information on eggplant. I love eggplant, and eggplant is still it's still in season. It runs between usually July and October, with the best eggplant usually being right about now in August. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And this thing that's been concerning me lately, and it's about the produce that we're getting and the quality of it. Mm-hmm. You know, so whether it's something that's wrapped in plastic and we're getting that through there. Now we know there's plastic in our water, there's plastic in the air, but then there's plastic covering our food. And then also some of the things that I like to use one word, and it's processed, you know, because that kind of encompasses everything. And now you're a healthy eater, so.
Yes. And yeah, so you hit on a big subject there, you know, the plastic, the petroleum leaching into the products, let alone, you know, the quality that you might be getting.
Yeah, and the way that they're changing it, and I mean, the more I look into this, the scarier it gets, you know. Mm-hmm. We're talking about things that, you know what, here's really what happened, and I don't want to really talk about the depth of this for too long because I know this is a cooking show, but this is still food related. Mm-hmm. And this was really where the tobacco industry, at the end of cigarettes, switched to that same addictive thought process of doing that to our food.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and because of that, things like sodium enhancement, high fructose corn syrup, mm-hmm. these things that have been modified and processed to really make food just not nearly as good as it was.
And the food colorings that cause ADHD and, you know, all the other issues that they cause. But yeah, we need to get the dyes out of the food, the Roundup out of the food.
Yeah, soil. You know, and that was something else that I was thinking about and heard when I was researching was that the quality of the soil that we're using. Mm-hmm. So literally the stuff that's growing, got it. The stuff that's growing is starting out with one foot in the grave, so to speak. Because
it doesn't have the same nutritional value, and spinach is like 1,000 times less nutritional than it has been over time. So we definitely need some organic soil and to add those minerals and into our soil.
It's really about trying to rescue what we purposely screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, and it frustrates me. It pisses me off. But it's something that needs to be corrected, and we can correct that. We can correct that by going to farmers markets. We can correct that by shopping at places maybe where things are, first off, not wrapped in plastic. Maybe they're in bins.
100%. And, I think that's a passion of both of ours, when we would do Chef at the Market and promote our local farmers. Mm-hmm. But that is the best thing we can do is shop local, organic, know your farmers, know where your food's coming from.
Exactly. And same thing with like a monger, like a fish monger or a beef monger. The monger is that expert in that. Go down and talk to these people. Talk to them down there at where you're getting it. Know ask them what they're growing. Are they growing it in, is it fall under this non-GMO and that's, genetically modified organism?
When you're talking about fish, then we're talking about farm raised, versus our traditional wild caught salmon. So it has a completely different texture, as you know. It's a lot more fatty and it doesn't have that same flavor or texture that a wild caught does.
But the fact that they're just modifying it, that they're really altering the DNA.
Correct.
Yeah, and when we get these raw foods that are altered, we have to look for ways around that. And I know that shopping things that again are in a bin, but even then, we've talked about that little tag that's on there that tells you where it's from. Now with the internet, you can just search these things out. And when you search them out, you can definitely dig down and say, okay, well, this is, we talked about the hammy cantaloupe the other day, and I just finished that today. And that was last week. It was still crisp. Yeah, if you want to cook cantaloupe, that's going to be the one that you want to use. But anyway, we have to be aware, and we have to know that these foods that we're putting in our body, the old adage of you are what you eat, it's vital, and that's just something that we got to be aware of, and ask them. Is this apple coated in wax, or the same thing with your cucumbers?
Well, eggs is such a good example, and it's so different. The egg, when the chicken has been eating the bugs, so it's getting the omega-3s, it's eating the grass, it's getting the sunlight, so it's a completely different egg than you have one that's been a grain-fed, kept in a box with no sunlight, right? Yeah, and
now that California, our chickens have, condos, because of the laws that have been passed, and our pigs have condos too. And, and that was one of those things where you see the government's hand in there, and they end up saying, okay, well, chickens need to have more room to run around. Well, I'm not heartless, but it's a chicken. Okay, it doesn't have a name, and it's going to end up in Kentucky Fried Chicken someday, or wherever it's going to end. It's grown as a commodity in the same way that a tomato is. But you do get
But if you buy local from the local farms, you get one that has had a better quality of life, and it has a higher nutritional value, in my opinion, and it tastes better.
I can see we're going to clash on this. All right, folks, you tuned in on the right day. I raise my own chickens, so I get my own eggs, and we've talked about that. The yolks are twice as big as the whites.
Yes.
They're just luscious. They're beautiful. You fry one up and you put it on a sandwich, and you can actually taste the egg, So that's just it's a better product all the way around. So, and so many people raise chickens, so
it's a free food source. It costs money to do it, but it's one of those things that you can ensure the quality.
But what were we told on the food pyramid? What have we been told since when? How long ago did they start, this campaign against eggs? And saying that eggs are bad for you.
Eggs are good,
and
eggs are
butter
bad.
is bad. Yeah, and there's so many things.
But which one are they testing? Are they testing a free range egg, or are they testing a commercial one, that's been grain fed? You have to look at the studies.
Yeah,
right?
and it's really, it gets down to what came first.
The chicken or the egg?
Exactly. So anyway, you've got Cooking Like a Pro. We're going to take a quick break here, but we appreciate you tuning in. Right back in a moment on KCNR at 1460 AM.
When my baby cooks her eggplant, She don't read no book. She's got a Gioconda kind of dirty look. And my baby cooks her eggplant about 19 different ways. Sometimes I just have it raw with me.
Green vegetable eating machine. They make me strong, make me clever. They're my favorite cuisine. I'm a mean green vegetable eating machine. They make me strong, make me clever. They're my favorite cuisine.
All right, vegetables, coming out of our vegetable segment. And actually, I apologize, but next week, if you tune in, we're going to be talking about eggplant, because me and Chef Sadie, who is joining me here at Cooking Like a Pro, welcome back here on KCNR. This is Chef Cal with my special guest again, Sadie. And Chef Sadie, I like to say Chef Sadie. So
Sounds good.
Yeah, but so we'll talk about eggplant next week, because we got kind of caught up in something that's very passionate for both of us, which is the quality of the food that we're consuming. But I want to talk about your most recent venture. And I want to tell me about that.
All right. Well, I started working at a high school, California Heritage Youth Build Academy, and they wanted to start a culinary program. They currently have a construction program that they've had for about 12 years, and it gives kids a hands-on experience, and it helps them earn their certifications while they're there and to get a head start in the workforce. And it's also approved through AmeriCorps, so they get that AmeriCorps experience. So I've been there a year, and I got the program launched, and we've got kids that are in the AmeriCorps program, and they're earning their certifications, and they're working in the industry, and it's exciting.
It's very exciting. It reminds me of something very similar to back when I go into high school. Remember back in the 1900s?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The ROP program. So this was actually in the 70s. When I was going through high school, and I went to the ROP program. So it was almost like a journeyman program, something that was teaching them a specific skill, life skill that they'd be able to use back then, whether it was wood shop. I'm not sure how wood shop's a life skill. Obviously, life could be. That's what you do. But auto shop, and then the culinary arts was one of those as well. Mm-hmm. So this is just really kind of an extension of the thought of teaching our youth how to do something. Like, once they boil the water, what do they do with the water, right?
Exactly. So they've renamed it. The new acronym is CTE.
Oh,
CTE, Certified Technical Education, I guess. So,
well, very good. Well, I know that I've, been blessed to have taught in high school as well as college like yourself, and I think that it's great that people learn from the foundational level, from the ground up. Like I learned through a French apprenticeship, which teaches you kind of from the ground up, and they need that. They need instructors that can kind of come from that perspective and show them this is really going to be valuable information. Mm-hmm. This is cutting things in the right size, or just things that, to be honest, when we've done this long, it's easy not to just kind of fly by it, which frustrates me when I watch Food Network and my blood pressure goes up because they're not doing it right. So what else is going on with this program then? Is it available to anyone that's in a high school, or how's it?
No, it's specific for California Heritage Youth Build Academy for that school. But it's students 16 to 24 in need of a high school diploma.
Okay.
So it's a lot of students, maybe they weren't fitting in the traditional model, and they want to try this school, and they're better with their hands. And so that's where there's different programs to really cater to the needs of the students and help keep them engaged. And there's also an adult education option for students that are 25 and older, like a home study, in-person, hybrid. Mm-hmm. So, they have it all.
Wow. Well, that the teaching has always been, of course, something that's been dear to me, because I had an awful lot of chefs that spoke into my career in the decades past, whether by throwing pans at me or especially when you have the European chefs, I like to use the word, they're more colorful. So they're more colorful. Yeah, that's code. Okay, just in case you weren't sure, that is code. But again, that teaching, especially when it comes to food, this is the skill that they're going to be able to use for the rest of their life. And I've mentioned before, there's very few things we're going to do more than sleep, except for eat. So why not do it right?
And it's a life skill that they can take with them. And as we were talking earlier about the packaging, right, of our food, anything processed that's been shipped, the quality is a lot less than you would get if you were making it home, quality ingredients. So I believe that this pertains to their health, too. So it saves them money, improves their quality of life, and can give them a job, and employment.
That's a great point, Chef, because I never had anyone tell me that something was bad if it was wrapped in plastic. Trust me. And that was kind of the last concern. But, then again, food used to be more natural. And as it's been more developed, again, we use the word processed, refined. That Parmesan cheese that you shake in the little, green can, it doesn't stick together for a reason, okay? And it isn't because it's all cheese, because cheese sticks together. So the idea is how much, I don't know.
How much of that powder coating, kind of like in our traditional salt, it's filled with talc, right? Which is something you'd put in your shoe.
Yeah.
So that's the anti-caking agency in there.
It could be, I don't know. I kind of wonder if it's just like ground sawdust or something like that. But you're right. So something is doing, is causing it to behave a certain way. And part of that behavior is just the longevity and the shelf life of it. What can we do to take this food product and just make it last longer?
Well, that's what they did to flour, right? So weevils don't get in it. Nothing gets in it. They bleach it. It'll last for just about, a long time.
Flour and sugar.
Right? And it's because it's been bleached, too. So it's killed anything, and it doesn't have that same nutritional value. And it kind of looks like cocaine, right?
Yeah,
it's highly addictive.
They wring it out. Well, again, that's what the industry has done. Is it's caused food to be to come into this category of being addictiveness that we never really thought about. We think about, when we use the word addiction, we think about a variety of things, whether it's opioids, whether it's, just the challenges that go on with the many things from alcohol to smoking that can be addictive. And now we have to watch out for our food.
Yeah.
It's just something to be aware of, something that I think that as we, pursue trying to be healthier, wanting to live longer, wanting to fulfill whatever our purpose is here, which we all have a purpose and then an expiration date. So I want to take that purpose and I want to use it to the fullest extent. And getting the healthiest food that I can is a big, huge part of that. So that's going to be an ongoing conversation that's going to take a while before we get to the end of that one. So, all right, this is Chef Cal here at Cooking Like a Pro. We appreciate you tuning in. KCNR.
I didn't want to derail, but I had a lot to say on that.
Do you like healthy food or do you like junk food? Do you like healthy food or do you like junk food? I like chocolate bars and I like apple pie. I like chips and cookies.
Oh, this is the night. It's a beautiful night, and we call it a bella notte. Look at the skies, they have stars in their eyes on this lovely bella notte.
Welcome back to Cooking Like a Pro. This is Chef Cal. You have found us on KCNR, and we always appreciate you tuning in. That's always it's just a fun thing to know that we're hopefully helping out there. Again, if you have a question and you'd like to reach out, you can do that, and you can just leave a question if you'd rather not go on the air, but it's fun to go on the air. Anyway, 530-605-4567. And one thing I got up this morning when I was looking at the little bit of news that I look at, I don't want to get too upset before I've had my coffee, and I noticed that Michelle Guitard passed away, and I don't know if that name means anything to anybody in our listenership, but just truly an amazing chef, and it's sad, it's unfortunate that so many of these older chefs, and especially these ones that I've had the opportunity to work with, like Michelle Richard was one, and Charlie Trotter, and that have passed on way too soon. And actually the reason I'm writing my cookbook. I'm like, okay, well, I better get this stuff written down. But anyway, Michel Gachard, to give you just kind of an overview of it, there was food in France. France didn't invent cooking, but they kind of get credit for it because they started writing things down first, and recording them. And the first big recording of that, and when it comes to culinary, it goes back to Augustus Escoffier. Now, Escoffier actually wrote the menus for the Titanic. That's not why it sank. I've actually done that menu. I've done it that special menu several times. It's like 13 courses. I did it on the 100th anniversary of the Titanic, and then I think I did it at one of my restaurants, and I did it at another one, and it was fun event.
Awesome.
But nobody drowned it. So it made we actually gave everybody little cards, and they could find out at the end of dinner whether they drowned it or not.
Like a murder mystery dinner.
Yeah, the ones that didn't drown were had to pay. So, but anyway, if you remember the movie Ratatouille, it was one of Michel Gachard's recipes, which was for the Ratatouille, that was actually used in that film with the thin slice, the way it did it, with the green sauce on it. Just an amazing chef that had 3 Michelin stars, which that's as many of those as you can get. He invented something. Well, let's go back to Escoffier. Escoffier did something was called haute cuisine. It's Haute, haute cuisine. Haute means high. It means it was the first cuisine. It was the highest cuisine. So this was Escoffier, and this was actually the cuisine that Julia Child brought over to America. Did you ever see that movie Julia and Julia, or Julia and Julia? Did you ever see it? Oh, you need to watch that. Yeah, you need to watch that. It's good. It's a gal that copies her recipes and over the course of a year. It's like one, I think it's one a week or something. But anyway, it's a great show. But anyway, during that movie, his recipe was used, but what he did is he took. And you can tell when you look at the ratatouille, which is usually a stewed dish, and you can look at the delicate way it was put together. He took haute cuisine and took it to a different direction, which we knew at the time and still know it today is a nouvelle cuisine. Nouvelle is it means lighter. It's food that was actually nouvelle means new, but the food was lighter, higher emphasis on presentation.
So the original California cuisine.
Yeah, what we called spa cuisine. What we called I remember when cuisine nouvelle came out because California kind of renamed it spa cuisine. Whatever reason, I don't know. I just remember that happened, but it came from the French gastronomy of the 1970s, and so that's when it made this big change. So he was an amazing chef, and rest in peace, chef. So there's a lot of I kind of look at it, especially in writing this book, that that we've been given gifts and talents, skills, understanding stories even. And we've had these and we accumulate these throughout our life, and the purposes of these are to share with other people. And I think that's the idea behind it, because there really isn't nothing new under the sun. That's what Scripture says. That's just the way it is. There's nothing. I've often said this, that I could live till I'm 110 years old and still not know a tenth of the cuisine that's out there. It's just too vast. The world's too vast. I know even when I get an opportunity to cook with you, I mean, you're using ingredients that I just, that are foreign to me, and you're buying them over at, Moore's Flour Mill or something.
Quinoa, what's quinoa?
So you start getting, and these things that are so good for you, and just researching out there. And you do so much of this. What would be one of your go-tos if you were a person that was listening to this and you wanted to have a healthier diet? I mean, are there certain, websites you go to, or what kind of information would you, give a person that said, I want to eat healthier? Would you? Would be your thoughts? Because I know that. Well, first off, we already talked about it. You'd want to do, healthier foods to start with.
Well,
right?
Okay. So there's an acronym that I like. It's called NEWSTART.
Okay.
It stands for nutrition, exercise, water, sun, temperance, air, rest, and trust. So those are kind of the principles.
I'll never remember that, but okay.
That's why NEWSTART, right?
Okay,
so,
NEWSTART.
And it's just like kind of it's a whole system, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm going to eat this apple and I'm healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do need proper nutrition. We do have to have enough fiber, right? We need enough protein. We need fats, and we need some carbs. Right?
There's a
but
balance.
I think, you brought up the food pyramid. If we turned it on its head, we'd probably be better off, right?
We would.
We know like less carbs probably, right? And more fat.
Yeah, and
like
better,
healthy fats, like
carbs.
avocado and some nuts and seeds, not,
and
ice cream.
And all those things, the advantage we have now is all those things are available to us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can get, bluefin tuna caught tomorrow from Japan. I mean, it's so crazy with the way technology is giving us this open door to all of these opportunities of these ingredients.
I love it. I mean, it literally, we can get anything we want, the best quality ingredients from around the world, right? It's at our fingertips, but we can also get this garbage food at our fingertips. So it's really just
junk food,
right?
Yeah.
But I can get goji berries the next day, Amazon Prime.
and you could go down to Cottonwood and get fresh Chev. Did you go on
a field trip there?
Did
with
you go?
our
Okay, I was wondering if you went on
from
that.
Shasta.
Okay, yeah, and I remember the organic. Remember that trip we took to Fetzer? We took the team down there to, or that was a class. No, that was the Chefs Association. We went down there and organic farming, organic grapes, and the methods that they use. Is that called an oncologist? Yeah, or in college, sounds like oncologist. I don't know, it's something like that. But it's that person that's an expert in just producing food that's pesticide free, where they would use plants next to it that maybe those had certain aphids that would feed off of other things. So it's just a way of being able to.
Some call that biodynamic gardening.
Biodynamics? Yeah. Well, it's like the deer that come in my backyard and eat my tomatoes.
That's
not
good.
Yeah, well, I might have to get another freezer, I mean, I've got a lot of recipes for venison, and my son doesn't want me to shoot Bambi, but I told him it's not Bambi. He goes, it's Bambi's mother. I said, no, it's her dad. It's Bambi's dad. But my dad was thinking about this because last week my dad gave me a whole bunch of really cool information and stories that I shared on when he was raised and growing up, where they had to, they had to kill something in order to have something on the table to eat.
Yeah, and nowadays you can become a vegetarian and get enough protein. You can become a vegan and get enough protein.
Where did that come from? I was talking about killing Bambi's dad, and you switched it to vegetarian.
I'm just saying, and your son who's like, I don't know if I want to eat that. In this day and age, people, they used to not have enough nutrition if they cut out meat, and now you can.
The Impossible Burger.
I don't know about that.
A burger that's called Impossible should have meat. Don't you think? I mean, because if it's called Impossible, that makes it sound like it's going to be quite the treat. But anyway, but you're right. But organics, folks, get the organics, get things that haven't seen a whole lot of plastic and certainly aren't covered in plastic. I mean, there's some studies that basically say we're eating a credit card a day, worth of plastic. And
the petroleum, it's also in the lotions, it's in the makeup. So and it has phytoestrogens in it too, which could throw people's hormones off. And I think it's causing more havoc than people know.
Well, there you go, folks. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there is something coming out of the back of the airplanes. Okay, now I don't know what it is, but some days they fly by. I live by the airport, and some days when they're up there, they fly by, and there ain't nothing back there. And some days I wonder. It looks like they're skywriting my name or something like that.
Well, they still do crop dusting too, and so they're directly flying pesticides over it, and they're spraying it. So, I mean, we know that there's some, they're spraying stuff on the food that is stuff that we might not want, right? If you're buying organic, that's like the best thing you can do. So I always turn it back around to what can I do? Yeah,
so turn it around to buying the best product that you can buy. And again, it's out there. It's out there whether you have to order it online. It's out there if you have to, if you want to go to the farmer's market. There's a variety of them here in town.
There's several. Yeah, we have.
What's the one that we cooked out? That's the one behind.
We would do the Reading Farmers Market
behind the
City Hall on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, and that was a good one, and it's gotten bigger. I mean, as the season, as we go further into the season, we're able to start getting more and more things. You know, I was kind of frustrated at the beginning there because it's like, okay, come on, am I going to have to start cooking green tomatoes? Come on, guys, okay, let's. And
it's 7:30 to noon on Saturday. Noon? Yeah, so you got to get up early.
Got to get up early, but well, I mean, if you're not getting up for noon, you probably don't care what you're eating.
Early bird gets the red tomato.
There you go. Exactly. But anyway, it's worth the time. It's worth the effort. Because, the saying of garbage in, garbage out. And
it's not just, how they talk about eating honey that's local and you get the benefits of that. Mm-hmm. It's the same with our produce. So it directly improves our health and supports our economy at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then you know where your food's coming from, right? Instead of having to depend on Cisco to bring it in. You can, support the farmers, and then they start growing more. And then there's more and more available. So it's a domino effect.
I truly think that this whole season of society here, at least in the States, it's all evolving around like everything comes full circle, and I've seen it. I've lived long enough to see a lot of those things kind of come back around. When you make chicken and dumplings and it's something that they've never heard of, because the things that we were raised on, and that was just 55, 60 years ago for me, and half that for you. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's going to come around to where people are going to start seeing the need to eat healthier. Mm-hmm. When you're taking a handful of pills in the morning and a handful of pills at night, and trust me, I take way more than I wish I did, and I've been going through that process. Go to your doctor and say, Doc, I want to quit taking these, okay, and figure out the best way to wean out the things that you need, because it got to a point where and I know I'm getting a little bit older, but it's like I can't even remember why I take that. Mm-hmm. So, is it solve the problem, or is it necessary anymore, or is there a healthy alternative? And that's one of the things with when you start getting into your turmeric and these healthier spices that are out there that are almost used as they're really medicinal.
They are. They figured it out in East India, how to use medicine and make it taste good. Mm-hmm. But our leading cause of death is heart disease, right?
The top. I heard this today. The top 9 of the top 10 diseases that we have, the chronic complaints that we have, are related to food. Mm-hmm. 9 of the top 10 related to food.
Yeah,
that's just was it that way? I mean, back when we were kids,
it was not. And here's the thing: we can fix that. So one of my things that I really got passionate about is that there was a program that you could actually reverse heart disease. They have it. It's the Dean Ornish program. So he scientifically proven, it's I believe it's like 12 weeks, and you can literally reverse heart disease. So when you go and get a stent, it doesn't actually reverse it, but it will help, right? So
and who's fighting against that? Of course, the pharmaceutical companies, the medical institutions, and the
a pill for every ill.
Yeah. And I think that doctors need to also become more aware so they can give their patients options. Like you can take X, Y, and Z, or maybe you can go a little healthier and start getting more. Maybe it's more fiber, so you're going to eat more roughage. Maybe it's the seasonings that they have. I know the medicinal components and things like cinnamon, and there's just about every spice out there. Has a healthy physical benefit.
Ginger, cayenne,
Ginger is a great one. And I know that capsaicin, when I can eat peppers, and I can get that active ingredient that creates that spice, that capsaicin, that you can that's very good for your heart, and it's very good because sweating is the body's way of air conditioning itself. So you'll notice in different areas of the world, Asian areas, areas of like South America, where chilies are a really, it's a real dominant ingredient that you see everywhere. And
it's good for the lungs. It helps open that up. And have you ever had a hot shot?
No, but
It's with cayenne in there, a quarter teaspoon, your lemon juice and ginger juice, and you just shoot it. So it helps if you have a cold coming in.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. I have those things, so maybe have you text me that, and I'll give it a shot. When it comes to me, if I really want to do a shot, pickle juice is one of my go-tos.
Okay.
You know, pickle juice is great for cramps.
Mm.
You know, if you're getting cramps, I remember when we used to run, they'd give us, salt pills.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the bikers, I noticed this on the Tour de France one year, I was watching it, and they were eating these like power ball bars, but they were made out of pickles, or made with pickles.
Mm-hmm.
And I started getting into it, and I used to have a restless leg syndrome, and now it doesn't bother me a bit. So anyway, pickle juice, after you get your pickles, and after you've eaten all of your pickles, then save the juice.
And if you don't like pickles, you can also take a pinch of Celtic gray sea salt and then, drink your water after that. Also very hydrating.
I put that Celtic sea salt in my coffee every morning.
Okay.
And because I use that Black Rifle coffee, that veteran-owned coffee company, and it just makes the flavor so, because that's what it does, is enhance it. I mean, I just put just a few granules in there and stir it up, and boy, I tell you, it wakes up your coffee, and it tastes fantastic. So that's one thing that it's another thing that you can do.
That could be the new coffee. Remember, everybody was putting butter in it for a while. Now everybody's going to be putting salt in there.
Just a touch. Just a touch. But anyway, and then I made some bread and butter pickles too. That's one of my favorites. I loved the bread and butter pickles. My father-in-law, my wife's dad used to make for us. It was always something special when we got a chance to have those. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. You're with Chef Cal at Cooking Like a Pro. You have found us on KCNR. We will be back in just a moment.
For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be found off my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. When you look under the rocks and plants and take a glance at the fancy ants, then maybe try a few.
In Napoli, where love is king, when boy meets girl, here's what they say.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore.
Oh, there you go. You just can't beat old Dino. Old Dino. All right. Amore. Welcome back to Cooking Like a Pro. This is Chef Cal. I'm here with our special guest, Sadie Krueger, and we're just chatting about a little bit of everything, some food-related stuff. And in our last little segment, we've kind of gotten into the habit of talking about wine, so we're going to be talking about wine. I know that we've done a lot of wine tasting in the past together, and worked with a lot of vintners, and that's one of the things I love about going to the wine country, because it's kind of like what we were just talking about. You're talking to the food mongers, the experts, the people that are picking it in the field, and that sort of thing. They're picking picking the fruit, they're picking the vegetables, they're picking the lettuce, whatever it is. Same thing in the wine country. You can talk to the winemakers. You talk to people that know all about how to make, the product, and why it comes out in different ways, different styles.
I love touring the wine country, and one of my favorite culinary classes I think was at Greystone, and we got to taste all the wine and olive oils. And
oh yeah, I tell you, if you get a chance to go to Greystone, it's the old brothers. What are they called? It's I don't remember what the Christian Brothers. Yeah, it's the old Christian Brothers winery, and I don't know if they I imagine they still make wine. I mean, I've toured it, and the place is ginormous, but I've been to some classes down there, and it's the West Coast version of the CIA. And when I'm talking about food and I mention CIA, people just, what? You know? I mean, okay, yeah, I'm sure they're listening right now, but this is a different CIA. This CIA is the Culinary Institute of America, and probably most Americans, it's considered the top chef school, you know, in the world, I imagine. Well, if you ask them, I'm sure that's what they would say. I know enough of them. I know enough of them very well, matter of fact. But anyway, it's great to be down there. I ran a winery for a couple of years down in Napa Valley, and that certainly helped me a lot to appreciate the effort that goes into it and the process. And I know that the trip that we took together down there with the class where they did a cooperage, where they showed us how to toast the barrel, and so you can get that flavor out of the oak. So there's just a lot of things. There's the flavor of the grape, there's the crush, there's the seed, there's the skin, there's the temperature.
The timing.
Yeah, the timing of the year. You know, how that's why when you get down in those coastal areas, you get those long, warm summer evenings, and they just help the grapes to be able to develop, become a little more complex, be able to get those different flavors. And part of the, you know, again, when it comes to wine drinking or tasting, you know, again, number one rule, drink what you like, you know. But if you want to get into something where you're trying different things and you're excited about maybe seeing if you can expand your wine understanding, because it is something that goes great with food. It is the food. It's not cooked like beer is, but it's still a recipe process. There's a lot of things in there. There's bacteria that's introduced at times. But anyway, so there's just what are we going to match this with? And in order, again, to match it with something, you kind of need to know where it is as far as flavor profile. So it's like you taste the wine, and it's like, okay, what kind of flavors do I get? And do I want to match this with something else? Or do I want to make a contrast where if there's something like a spicier dish with maybe a sweeter wine, so the wine balances it out? But I don't know, do you have any wine combinations that you've had in the past, like beef and Cabernet? Or
I mean, those are the classics, right?
Yeah.
Some Chardonnay with my salmon and maybe a little Riesling as dessert. I like kind of the sweeter wine. And
I like that with the salmon because with salmon, it has all those omega-3s in it, that oil. So you get a wine that cuts through that. And if not, it's definitely going to make the meal more enjoyable, because without it, it'd be nothing but just, salmon, and to be able to break that up. And I know that in the culinary side of things, we would call that break in there an intermezzo. An intermezzo is the break that they take in like an opera or a ballet when they take a break. They take this little break in the middle to give everyone a chance to whatever they do when they take a break, go to the restroom or grab a drink. And so in a meal, you want that break. You want something that's going to, help you enjoy, things to the greatest extent. And by doing that, cleansing your palate, so each time you take a bite of something, you taste it almost all over again. And you just get a true natural flavor. Plus, if the flavor matches, it's just something it's just a great marriage.
Yes, and the red wine's so strong, so something kind of bold, goes well with that. And
blue cheese, blue cheese is always one of my favorites, with a really good, robust red wine that has a lot of tannin in it, and also chocolate, because chocolate has acid, and that acid counterbalances the tannin in wines, which comes from the seeds and the.
That's probably my favorite drink, chocolate with wine.
Chocolate with wine, yeah. It's just a chocolate bar and a bottle of wine. I almost don't need a glass, it's chocolate, some really nice chocolate, okay, maybe a nice 70% or so cocoa, and then a glass of red wine, and Or a bottle and a straw. That works.
A nice
too.
glass really makes it, though.
The glass does.
Yeah.
It helps hold in those esters, and you're able to enjoy it. The aroma
and the
is
size
a big part
of the glass,
of it.
right? Having kind of a wider
Size matters.
Yeah.
Yep. I know that, like the Pinot glasses are the big round ones, and then the Cabernets are kind of tall. But you want to be able to swirl it. You want to be able to see the viscosity of it. Right?
And feel fancy.
Yeah. Well, then you can see the legs, so you know that
yes,
that it does have
down the glass.
Yes, it has a body, has a body to it. So, legs are important, and again, there's so much to enjoy in the same way. There's so much to enjoy with your food. But in order, again, kind of coming full circle here, it's just like we started out this discussion, Sadie. You're not tasting true natural food if you're not getting true natural food, right? If you're not getting foods that are fresh and and ripe and unprocessed and refined.
Are you comparing it to box wine? Is that the difference?
No. The box wine, it's that would be my mom. My mom likes box wine. It's convenient. You can carry it around. It doesn't have you don't need a cork. It doesn't have a cork.
Pairs well with everything.
Pairs well with everything. There you go. But again, it goes back to what you enjoy. In the same way we were talking about wine just now, also food. Do what you enjoy. And I know that Charlie Trotter, for example, a famous chef that left us too early out of Chicago, just a very dear guy. I enjoyed my time with him. And one of the things that he would take, like a fresh halibut and poach it in veal stock. So when you're thinking about a seafood being poached in a white seafood stock, the French would never go for that. It would be like blasphemy. But for him, he only had one enduring goal, and that was to treat these products the best that they can and give the guest the most, the highest, most wonderful experience that they can. And I think that's kind of the end goal. You go to the farmer's market with something in mind, and say, whoa, hey, look at that zucchini. Oh, look at those blossoms. Oh, we could stuff those with something.
Like you said, that's an experience, right? If you had stuffed squash blossoms, don't you feel like that's an experience you would remember?
Of course, yeah. So it's just not, again, it goes back to what I've said probably on our every show, which is in America, we eat to live, okay? And we need to change that, folks. We need to live to eat, okay? We need to live our lives so we can eat and spend that special time with family, with friends, doing what's most important in life, creating memories that are going to last. And I know that when I look back and when I was younger, those are the things that make a difference now. Those family times, those opportunities to be able to, share moments. And food's always around when it comes to, great events, birthdays, anniversaries.
But then it's kind of centered around cake, right?
Cake.
So it's kind of maybe rethinking what you want to do as far as something healthy, right? Maybe bring some chocolate avocado pudding.
Oh,
right? Or I don't know, you can think outside the box.
Yeah. Well, no, I have tried that. You did give that to me once.
But they say a party without a cake is a meeting.
Oh, is that what it is? All right. But again, I think that, what we do is we need to take these times and these opportunities to live life to the fullest extent, okay? And food is a real central part of that. So why not enjoy it? Why not go out and get the freshest product? Why not go out and get these wonderful ingredients you can work with? So anyway, we really appreciate you tuning in today at Cooking Like a Pro. I'd like to thank my special guest, Sadie. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. And we'll be back next week.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. Until next time, we hope you'll be cooking up a storm in the kitchen. So we'll be with you again next week with food, flavor, and fun right here on Cooking Like a Pro podcast.